Are you researching the best suburbs to live around Edmonton? Well, you've just stumbled upon arguably the best one. And today I'm gonna take you on a Google Maps tour of the city I've called home my entire life, St. Albert. Before we dive into the tour, I just want to introduce myself. My name's Evan Coughlin and I'm a residential realtor here in St. Albert. I also service the Edmonton area. And if you have any questions about the city or buying or selling, you can reach out to me. My contact information will be on the screen. I'll put my full details in the description below. I help people just like you relocate to the area every single week, and I'd be more than happy to have a conversation and see if I can provide you some value. So what is St. Albert? Well, St. Albert is a city located just northwest of Edmonton, and it's actually connected to Edmonton at the hip. It has a population of 72,000 people and is growing rapidly with 9.4% growth since 2018. The city is known for its extensive trail system, numerous parks, and being one of the safest cities to live in all of Alberta. The average household income in St. Albert is 18% above the Edmonton region and 13% above the Alberta average. 84.5% of the residents of St. Albert actually own their home, which is well above the Canadian national average of only 66.5%. One of the reasons that home ownership is so common here is because homes here are much more affordable than many other parts of Canada. For example, over the past 30 days, out of all of the single-family homes that have sold in St. Albert, the median was this one, which sold for $545,000. All the green spaces, the exceptional safety, and the amazing schools are making St. Albert very desirable for buyers right now. And there's lots of people moving here, which is increasing prices steadily. Over the last year, single-family prices in St. Albert are up almost 12%. So if you're watching this video and you're far into the future, these numbers might be different. All right, so now we're hopped into Google Maps, looking at a map of Alberta. We zoom in on Edmonton here, and you'll see that St. Albert is located just northwest of Edmonton. It's connected at the hip, as I said before. And so if you're wanting to go from the middle of St. Albert all the way to downtown Edmonton, it's gonna take you about 25 minutes or so to drive there. So that gives you a nice convenience. You can access the amenities of a huge, big metropolitan city without having to live in the hustle and bustle. You can still live in one of the quieter suburban areas. Now, entry points to St. Albert. There's really three main roads that go into and out of St. Albert. The first one and the most important is going to be St. Albert Trail. That's this road here. And you've also got Ray Gibbon Drive, which is right here, and you've got Campbell Road, which is right here. So if you're living in St. Albert and you're commuting into Edmonton on a daily basis, chances are you're going to be taking one of these three roads depending on where you're living. St. Albert does have a river that runs right through the center of the city. That's this river here. This is called the Sturgeon River. And so you'll find lots of the parks and trail systems are actually along this space. It's a very beautiful natural area. One thing that you'll notice about St. Albert's setup is that almost all of the businesses are located along St. Albert Trail, right down the center of the city. And you'll see that all of the neighborhoods are in the surrounding areas to the left and right of that road. So I've mentioned this in previous videos, but St. Albert's definitely set up more favorable for those who own a vehicle. It's going to be fairly difficult for you to live in St. Albert without owning a vehicle, especially if you live in one of these outside communities that isn't close to St. Albert Trail. You're going to be waiting a while to get there from public transit. We're going to start by talking about parks, trails, and green spaces. St. Albert is known as the Botanical Arts City. If you go on their website, that's something that you'll see written all over the place. And so we're going to start by talking about the Botanical Garden, which is going to be located right over here. So just to the north of Woodlands, you'll see along the river is the St. Albert Botanic Park. And so this is a really nice trail that you can walk through. And it is a 5-acre volunteer-run garden with a path that walks through. And it's a very beautiful walk to enjoy in the summertime. There's some very nice plants and they do a great job at maintaining this botanical garden. And the next thing that we're going to look at is Kingswood Park. So this is another one where it's a nice open green area. And interestingly enough, in the winter time, the city actually maintains some cross-country ski trails for people. So you can keep yourself moving during the winter, even when it's freezing cold. There is a nice indoor change area, and there's going to be a skating rink in there as in the winter time as well. Another beautiful park. And then we've got Riverlot 56 Natural Area. This, as the name would suggest, is a natural area. So there's trees everywhere everywhere. There's lots of wildlife in there. Once in a while you might get lucky and see a moose, but this is a really popular spot for people to go walking because it is a pretty big area and it's a nice way to get out into nature without having to leave the city and go too far away. It's basically part of St. Albert. Moving along the river, you'll find a long path. This is the Red Willow Trail system that goes all the way along the river from end to end. Right in here, just to the north of Woodlands again, is going to be where you'll find the baseball diamonds and the skate park and the water play park. This is a great day out for the kids when it's nice and hot, keeps them cool and keeps them entertained throughout the day. Then we've also got the skate park, which was actually redone not too long ago. So you'll see tons of kids go there all the time with their scooters or skateboards or bikes or whatever to enjoy that. So this trail where we started at River Lot 56 runs all the way down the river, all the way to Big Lake. Along the way, there's some things that you'll pass by, like the Millennium Park, which has a lot more natural areas and a beautiful bridge like this one. You may have seen those in pictures of St. Albert before. This is also where you'll find the Trestle Bridge, which actually is still an active train bridge. Also looks beautiful in the summertime. And if you keep going all the way down, you'll get to Lions Park. And the interesting thing about Lions Park, they do maintain a skate loop in there for the winter time. There's also a few fire pits in here that you can sit around and have a barbecue with your friends and family in the summertime. They also have a gazebo that's free to book through the city's website where you can reserve that for events. It holds, I believe, 50 or 60 people. It's a covered gazebo. And then if you go all the way down to Riel, this is where you'll see the Borealis Light Park. This is a beautiful light park that they maintain during the winter time. It's basically like a drive-through light park. And then you'll get all the way to Big Lake. And this is where you'll find the Lois Hole Centennial Provincial Park. It's got some nice green spaces, big wide open areas, as well as a deck that you can walk over top of the water. If you're into bird watching, I'm sure you can see lots of different types of birds and wildlife out there as well. And then last but not least, I wanted to talk to you about St. Albert's main dog park, the Lacombe Lake Dog Park. That's going to be right here. This is where I take my boy Theo a couple times a week. He really enjoys it. It's a fenced in area. Fence doesn't look like that. It's like this. So that's kind of the fence right there. It's a fenced in area. There's a lake for them to swim in when it's nice and warm outside and they can cool off. It's a beautiful spot for you to bring your dog, let him off leash and play with other dogs. Next, I'm going to show you downtown St. Albert. So downtown St. Albert is actually right here off of St. Anne Street and Perrin Street. A couple notable mentions is Jack's Burger Shack, very expensive but delicious burgers. Sushi Park right here. There's also the Cajun House in here, which has been a restaurant in St. Albert for a very long time, some of the best food in the city. And so here you'll also find the Arden Theater, which is a theater where you'll see dance recitals and kids events and also a lot of theater as well. And then in the summertime, this is where you'll see the St. Albert Farmers Market. It's the largest outdoor farmers market in Western Canada, and it's a great day on Saturday. You can go there. There's lots of fresh produce, organic and regular. There's beef jerky, there's handmade goods, and all of these fun things for you to enjoy with your family. Is the St. Albert Farmers Market's a great time. Next up, we're going to talk about shopping and dining. So as you enter St. Albert from the south, you're going to be met with the first commercial area just on the south end of St. Albert. Here's where you'll have a superstore. There's a Canadian brew house in here, a McDonald's, a Chevy dealership, another grocery store over here, barber shop, and all that stuff. And then you keep going down St. Albert Trail. There's more businesses along here. Then you pass to the left side would be downtown. As soon as you get over the river, that's where you're going to run into the main mall or shopping center of St. Albert. This is St. Albert Center. In there you'll have like a Mark's Work warehouse, a Sport Check, a Winners, and a bunch of other smaller shops in there as well. You've got your Canadian Tire right here. There's a Sobeys and a Safeway. So this is another kind of central hub. And then as you move towards the top, then you'll see we've got the hospital right here, St. Albert's Sturgeon Hospital. One of my favorite lunch spots is in here. Central Social Hall would be right there. And then as you go to the north of St. Albert, this is your third kind of main business area. You're gonna have a Walmart, a Home Depot, Costco is right here. And this is where St. Albert's really expanding a lot. St. Albert seems to be expanding northward more than any other direction. So it's likely that in the next few years, there's going to be even more businesses that kind of open up in this area here. A fun fact that I wanted to point out along the way is the amount of liquor stores in St. Albert is actually insane. There's 19 liquor stores throughout the city, which I didn't do the actual math on this, but I bet you that's probably one of the highest liquor stores per capita in the whole world. It seems like we've got a liquor store on every single corner. Next up, we're going to talk about recreation and entertainment. So first and foremost, the main recreation center in St. Albert is this one here, Service Credit Union Place. This is where you're going to find 3 hockey rinks. You're going to find soccer fields, basketball courts, swimming pool, a track, a gym, basically everything that you would expect out of a rec center, including a child daycare area. And this is going to be the main rec center in St. Albert. Next up, I wanted to talk about Ray's Athletics. This is a place that just opened up not too long ago, and I actually haven't been to it yet, but it's basically a massive warehouse where they've built out the inside to have all these different courts. So there's a volleyball court, there's pickleball courts, there's basketball, soccer fields, and a whole bunch of other things. And the nice part about this is all inside. So during the winter time, which we do have some long winters, people are still able to get out and get active and get moving at a place like this. Then I wanted to talk about Fountain Park Pool. So Fountain Park Pool is going to be located right in here. This is one of the swimming pools, well, second indoor swimming pool apart from Service Place, and this is a nice day for the kids as well. You can go in there. There's a diving board, a kids daycare area, and a big water slide and stuff like that in there too. Next up, I wanted to talk about St. Albert Bowling. This is going to be located right next to Value Village. This is a nice family-owned bowling alley that is also a great time to get out and get active. And they do neon bowling at night. The food there's not too bad, and they do have a arcade area as well. And then those are just the facilities that are indoors. During the summertime, like we mentioned previously, there's lots of parks and areas that you can go. There's also some outdoor pickleball courts, outdoor tennis courts, outdoor basketball courts as well that you would find throughout the community. And then before I end off this tour, just wanted to quickly talk about the different neighborhoods. So some of the older neighborhoods that have the large big trees and some older bungalows and kind of bigger yards and stuff, those are going to be closer to the center of the city. So Grandin, Sturgeon, Forest Lawn, Ainsdale, Braeside, and Mission, Lacombe Park. Those ones are going to be the ones that have the older bungalows with the bigger yards. Then you go into like mid 90s, bigger houses, also have some generous yards. Those are going to be like Pineview, Woodlands, Northridge, Deer Ridge, Oakmont, Erin Ridge. And then our new developments, the new areas where you're going to find new construction homes. There's going to be 3 main new construction areas. Number 1 is going to be Riverside. That's located right here. And I'm going to be doing a video on all 3 of these moving forward. So if you're interested in those, then feel free to subscribe and watch out for those videos. But Riverside's going to be the easiest one to commute to Edmonton. So if you want to buy a new home and you're going to be commuting to Edmonton often, then Riverside's going to probably be your best bet because you can hop on the Ray Gibbon Drive and get right into Edmonton super quickly. The next new development is going to be Chiro, which is right in here. It's brand new, so there's not really much showing up on the Google Maps, but that is a French-inspired community with some nice architectural guidelines, also good access to Ray Gibbon Drive. And then the third main new construction area is going to be Erin Ridge North. Also very nice newer homes. Going to be the farthest away from Edmonton. If you're going to buy here, you're going to have to travel all the way down St. Albert Trail to get to Edmonton, but it doesn't take that long, maybe 15-20 minutes during heavy traffic to get from one end to the other. And then there's a couple smaller new development communities as well. We've got Nouveau, which is developing, and there's some townhouses that are going up in the Riel area down here as well. Now, overall, St. Albert's not very big. If you were to drive from one end of St. Albert all the way to the other end of St. Albert, you're going to be looking at 13 minutes. That's from east to west. And then we'll do the exact same thing. Pretend you're going from north to south, also 12 minutes. So like I said, St. Albert's not very big. You can really get around in under 20 minutes no matter where you are. So who is St. Albert really for? Well, I would say that St. Albert is great for 3 main types of people. Number 1, families wanting a safe, community-focused environment. Number 2, professionals needing easy access to Edmonton who don't want to live in a major metropolitan city. And number 3, seniors looking for nature, recreation, and amenities without the big city chaos. Okay, so I know that video was pretty all over the place, but I wanted to give you guys a big overview of St. Albert as a whole. Be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing a community tour video for every single community in St. Albert by the end of the summer. That's my goal. So be sure to stay tuned for that. Again, if you have any questions about the city, buying or selling in the area, please feel free to reach out. Contact information on the screen, full details in the description. Till next time, cheers.